Okay, today we're starting chapter 3.1, which is square roots. And we've already done a little bit with square roots, so let's just review. A square root sign looks like this. So draw that on your paper. It's almost like a division sign, but with a little check mark on the beginning. And this sign has a name. It's called a radical sign. Okay, but today we're talking about perfect squares, and a perfect square is when you can multiply a number by itself. Okay, and so a perfect square root is when you can take the square root of a number and it's even because some two numbers will multiply by themselves to equal that number. For example, if I had the square root of 100, so I could use my calculator, and you're going to have that radical sign on your calculator. So you can just literally type in square root 100 equals. And does anybody know what number can multiply by itself to equal 100?
10.
Yes. You win Starbucks. Yay. Okay, 10 is the answer. So 10 is a perfect square because we can do 10 times 10 and it equals 100. Okay, so these are the types of problems that we're going to do today. So I'm going to start on page 118 with some examples. I'm going to start with number 5. 25. I'm going to pause this video for 1 second. Okay, so for these types of problems, we are going to find out what the square root of each number is. And we are going to either do it by thinking about what the answer would be if we know our times tables really well, or by using a calculator. So, does anyone know what number you can multiply by itself to equal 25?
5.
Yes, it is 5. But if you didn't know, you could type it in your calculator. So let's do square root. Wait, I might have to type it. Some calculators you have to type the radical sign first, and some you type it after the number. So this one I think is after the number. Yeah. So I just typed in, I'll do that again, 25, and then I hit this, this radical sign right here. And that told me that the square root of 25 is 5.
Where's the radical sign?
On my calculator, it's right here. Can you see where my cursor is?
Yeah.
Did you find it?
Yes, I did.
Good. On yours, you're going to have to hit the radical sign first, I think.
It's not the same calculator.
It's above the x squared. So you're going to have to hit the second function. Yeah, so you're going to hit second, and then the x squared button, and then 25, and then equals.
Wait, what is it?
So you're going to hit second, and then this little x squared,
Is 5.
and then 25, and then equals. Or whatever number you're trying to find the square
And
root of.
what's number 8? I didn't get to write that number 8.
Okay, I'll go back to it. So let's write 5 for number 5. Number 5 is 5. So the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, so let's look at number 6. Now, here's the thing about radical signs. You will never have a negative under the radical sign. Well, you might, but there's no solution to that problem because you can't multiply two negatives together and get a negative number, right? Two negatives make a positive. So you will not ever see a negative sign under the radical. But sometimes you'll see a negative sign outside of the radical. So if you do, guess what? The answer is going to have a negative in it. So the first thing I do on number 6 is write down the negative. And then we can do the square root of 100. So type in 100. Square root of 100 is what?
10.
10.
You have negative?
Not in your calculator.
Oh.
No, do not put the negative in your calculator. It'll give you like an error message.
It says don't need.
Yeah, just write the negative down in your answer. So number 7 also has a negative outside, so my answer is going to be negative for number 7.
It's like someone trying to break into the house.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing with number 7. Since it's a fraction, what we're actually doing is we're taking the square root of the top number and taking the square root of the bottom number. So what is the square root of 16? Does anybody know? Or is anybody fast? What?
I got 4 over 9.
Yeah, that's right. So the square root of 16 is 4 because 4 times 4 is 16. And what's the square root of 81?
9.
9, because 9, good, because 9 times 9 is 81.
I just did square root of 16 over 81.
And it gave you the answer?
Yeah, I thought that's how you would do it.
Wow, well, that's nice. Okay, last one, number 8. Don't be afraid of the decimals. Decimals are our friends.
I don't like this.
No. Okay, so again, I'm just going to type in the decimal, 0.64, and then I'm going to hit my radical sign. So what is the square root of 0.64? 0.8. There we go.
No negative.
No negative on that one. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We are going to solve some equations now using square roots. So the opposite of a square root or a radical sign is something being squared. Those two things are opposites, okay? So you know how when we solve an equation, like if we're adding something to x, we do the opposite?
Yes.
So the same thing is going to happen here. If these two things are opposites, then we're going to use them to help us solve equations, okay? So if p squared is p squared, I'm going to do the opposite to solve it. So I'm going to take the square root. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Now guess what? That radical sign cancels out that little squared sign. That's what I wanted. I wanted to get p alone. So now we have p alone, okay? And now I just take the square root of 36. So let's do that. 36. Square root of 36, good, is 6. So if I use the radical sign to get rid of that squared on the p, I take the square root of both sides, then p is going to equal 6. Let's do it again. Okay, so again, to get rid of that little 2 on the end, I'm going to use the radical sign. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So the radical sign cancels out that 2, and I'm just left with n. And then I'm going to take the square root of 169. Anybody fast with their calculator? Tiffany is, I know that. Tiffany already knows the answer.
Tiffany, what is it?
13.
13.
Thank you, Tiffany.
But I just remembered something super important that I did not tell you, and I am so sorry. We have to go back to number 9.
Why?
Because when you take the square root of an equation, when you're solving an equation, you don't know if the original 6 was a positive 6 or a negative 6. So your final answer is going to be written as p equals plus or minus 6. Hey, Cameron, can you open the door, please? Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so let's do the same thing for number 10. Okay, Bella, are you with me?
Yes.
So when we take the square root of an equation, we don't know if the original number was a positive or a negative. So the answer, essentially what you're saying is n could equal 13 or n could equal negative 13. That's what we're saying. But a quicker way to do that or to say that is to just write that little plus or minus right there. Okay? All right, but you only have to do that when you have an equation. That equation means equal sign. So let's do the next one.
I don't get it.
You don't get what? Okay, so again, r squared, I'm going to use the radical sign to get rid of the 2, the exponent, and whatever I do to one side,
We got 2 together.
that is correct. So I'm going to keep my r over here this time. And what is the square root of 900? Anybody?
30.
How do you do that, Tiffany? Do you just know it, or do you calculate it that fast?
I can calculate that.
Wow, she is so fast, girls. She's beating you guys, I just want to say.
Tiffany, stop.
Right now, Tiffany's in the Starbucks zone, okay?
Not stopping.
Okay. Good for you, Tiffany. Okay, so again, I'm going to write that plus or minus because we did solve an equation. We don't know if that original number was positive or negative. Cameron, you need to get with me. You're missing some stuff. Last one. What do I do first? Somebody tell me on number 12.
I'll let the girls answer that because I know the girls are going to get mad at me again if I do it again.
No.
Well, just somebody tell me what I do first. I don't want the answer, but I want to know what to do. Have we added on any of these equations so far? Yes, good. So I'm going to use that radical sign to get rid of that exponent, whatever I do to one side. Yes. Now remember, when I have a fraction, it's like the radical sign is on the top number and the bottom number.
Can I do it?
Yes.
And not.
So what is the square root of 1?
Wait, hold on.
1.
Yeah.
I got it.
Done it.
I'm doing it. I can. Okay, 1 over 3. That's a whole
Yes, 1 over 3 is correct because the square root of 1 is 1 and the square root of 9 is 3.
And we don't know if it's positive or negative.
Oh, you get bonus points, Cameron, for remembering that. She said, I don't know if it's positive or negative, so I put both signs on there. Okay, that is it for today's recording. So, hold on one second. Okay, so just for a little IXL preview, when you're doing this IXL, you're just taking the square root. So the square root of 0 is what?
0.
0. And anybody remember square root of 16?
3.
Close. So close.
4.
4, yes. And now on this one, I don't have to put the plus or minus because I don't have an equal sign, right? So I'm just putting the positive answer. What's the square root of 49? Anybody?
Square root of 49, Bella. What are you asking me? Because you know how to do square root.
It's 7. I did it. Okay, I'm going to skip a level and see if anything different comes up. Ooh, okay, so the numbers are just getting bigger. The square root of 289, which I used to know, I think it's 17. Let's see if Miss McNally got it.
Wait, teachers can skip a level?
Yes, it is 17. Yay.
We can't do that.
Okay, so the numbers are just getting larger, but you're still doing the same thing. Just tell me the square root of each number, okay? And that's all for today.